Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to the GrianaigCreations podcast channel. This is episode 94. My name is Kirsty, my pronouns are they, them, and I am coming to you from Paisley in Scotland. I have my cup of tea. You'll have seen me make it in the little clips before this podcast. I just decided to do something a little bit different today. We've got the house to myself. Scott had a 8 AM tee off, which is golf, for those that aren't entirely clued up in the terminology. I'm not, and I don't want to be. If I am perfectly honest. Thankfully I did not hear his alarm go off this morning, but I did hear movement downstairs, which eventually made me get up. So yeah, I don't know, I asked him what time it was, he's like, you don't want to know, so I went back to bed. So yeah, I'm a little bit sleepy this morning, but we're just going to roll with it. I tried to record yesterday, but I really wasn't happy with the recording. I was making a lot of really stupid mistakes, like not mentioning, wow, that's a weird way to say that, mentioning the names of patterns, designers, and some of the yarn dyers as well. So I decided to re-record today. We are maybe getting some sunshine. I can see some sunshine coming in because the sun comes in. So the way, if I look out the window, it comes in on the left and then it sets on the right, and we get a lot of sun in this room in the morning, and it just moves its way around. It's quite nice. You kind of have to position yourself at different places throughout the morning though if you want some sunshine. But yeah, I just decided that today was going to be a good morning to record. It's not super bright, it's a little bit overcast. I think we had a gorgeous day yesterday. We had 16 degrees yesterday. It was warm, and I don't know what the temperature is today, and I'm not going to check. I don't think I'm going out the house today, so I don't need to know what the temperature is. As long as I'm warm enough or wrapped up enough in the house, it's fine. So off the top of the podcast episode, I'm going to do a bit of talking before I go into showing some projects. So the first one is a bit of an announcement. The Halloween sock along will be returning for 2022, and I realise this is very short notice for some people, and I do apologise about that. I had been on the fence for a couple of weeks actually as to whether I was going to run it again this year. I personally always enjoy the Halloween sock along. Excuse me. But I had I don't normally let people ruin it for me, but I had someone particularly rude last year, like privately rude to me, not publicly, and that kind of put a bit of a dampener on last year. And I'm not gonna lie, that did play a part in my hesitation this year. But the Halloween sock along is back. I have a co-host, Mad Madam Mel, who I had the pleasure of meeting through Perth Festival of Yarn. No idea how I didn't find their YouTube channel before this, but Mad Madam Mel is joining us, so thank you so much, Mel, for joining us in this. I was about to say knit along, but I'm just going to class it as a make along, because I would love people, if they're going to be crocheting socks. I've never crocheted a sock, but it's certainly on my to-do list. So yeah, Mel is going to be joining us as a co-host. Cast on date is the 1st of October, and the end of the make along, and that, please note how I'm wording that, is the 31st of October at like midnight. So really, as long as you're finished and like, I'm going to take that last sentence back. You don't have to finish, that's the thing. As long as you've like posted photos of your progress, if you've finished, if you've not finished, as long as you've posted photos by midnight on the 31st of October, you're golden. So again, back to kind of like my first correct wording and then ignoring the incorrect wording. You do not need to finish a pair of socks. You don't even have to finish one sock. As long as you've started and you're making progress, that's really all that matters. And unlike last year was purely a participation make-along. This year there is going to be some prizes. So hopefully that will inspire some people to partake in this make-along. Again, it's open to knitting and crochet. There's absolutely no limitations. I do say, like, if you're going to be making socks, like, at least have them adult size. I think that's really the only stipulation I want. Like, little kid sizes and baby socks don't count. Or like ornament socks. So yeah, that kicks off on the 1st of October. So once we are done recording this podcast, I'm going to be nipping upstairs. Most of my Halloween yarn is in the same location, and I think I'm going to use Toil and Trouble this year, which was by... She's recently changed her name, so I wouldn't say like Geeky Crafting Lass or something like that, but she has changed her name, and it's going to be a bit of a pain to find. Let's see, favourite shops on Etsy. Should be in there. My tea is past its optimal temperature. That's what you get when... Ah, there it is. So on Etsy it's still the same. Oh no, she used to be Jen's Crafty Charms, and now she's Geeky Crafting Lass. And that's who I got Toil and Trouble from. So I'll find that and I'll try and insert a clip of it, or it'll be in the next video. So I think that's the one I'm going to choose this year. I think. But I think I've also used one of my Halloween yarns in my mum's Garter Marler cardigan. So I'll need to check the ball bands for that one. But yeah, Halloween Suck Along is happening. And instead of the usual hashtag, which is GC Halloween Suck Along, it's just going to be hashtag Halloween Suck Along. Because I now have a co-host. So I'm going to put all of Mel's details down below. Please check out her podcast. She also sells yarn, so check out her Etsy page. She is on Instagram as well. I'm not sure if she's on Facebook or Ravelry or anything like that, but whatever additional information I can find, I will pop it in the description box below. So that's my first one out of the way. That's the only announcement. The other two are just kind of like ramblings, and to see if anyone else kind of feels similar. And I will start the first one and it's like this stupid realization that I had within the last couple of nights, really. I've been watching a lot of new to me podcasters, and I can't remember who in particular said, like, discussed this on their podcast, but I was watching somebody who was talking about the fact that knitting and crochet and crafting in general is meant to be a slow craft. That's the thing. It is. Scott never puts his tablet on silent, so it's just going to keep going off every time he gets an email. So knitting, crochet, weaving, spinning, cross stitch, especially cross stitch, it takes a while. It's a slow craft. Why all of a sudden, really probably within the last couple of years, why are we jumping on this trend of, I finished a garment in a week, I done this within 4 days? And I know, please don't get me wrong, I have done that myself. I have been that person where I'm like, oh my god, I got a pair of socks done in 4 days. But why? Why have we decided that this slow craft has to be done in a certain amount of time. Like, there's so many patterns out there that's like 1 hour hat. Cool, like if you genuinely need to churn out a hat in an hour, I don't understand why, but okay. Like, I'm just coming to this realization now that this hobby, this craft, is not meant to be fast. We are not machines. We are not meant to be churning things out at this massive rate. And I get that a lot of people are product crafters, so they want the finished result. I 100% get that. I'm a product crafter as well. I also, at the moment, for one of my projects, I'm 100% a process crafter. I'm thoroughly enjoying one of my crochet projects. And I was just wondering if anyone else has really recently had that realization, or has had it this whole time and hasn't understood why out of nowhere. Maybe it's not out of nowhere, I just maybe don't know where it originated from. But why we are putting such emphasis on finishing things within somewhat unrealistic timescales. And maybe it's the chronic crafter in me, maybe it's the fact that Mother Nature knocked on my door yesterday and has absolutely floored me, but I just want to work on things slowly. I don't have the energy to be churn, and all of that. And I am by no means, like, please don't take this as shade if you are a very fast knitter. I can knit fast when I have the energy. My mum has always said that I'm a fast knitter. And I took pride in that for the longest time. And I don't know if I still do, honestly. I don't know. But I think I'm going to just be a bit more, I hate to say it, mindful when I'm doing my crafts. A lot of people hate that word, mindful. I think I'm just going to be a bit more mindful when I'm making and just enjoy the process a bit more. Because if I'm not enjoying a project, why am I doing it? So that's that rambling out the way. You'll be thankful to know. My second rambling is that I should have researched this a bit more actually. I am going to be trying what is called cash stuffing. And it's a stupid name, I don't know who gave the name to it, but it's basically that you allocate yourself a certain amount of money for the week and you withdraw that money from the bank, an ATM, whatever. And you can either do that 1 week at a time, or you withdraw the month and you allocate it into different envelopes. And my friend's been doing this for years, just not with envelopes, and has allocated a certain amount of money per week that they can spend on whatever they want. Whether that is taking themselves out for a coffee and a cake, whether that's buying yarn, or whether that's, oh, I need a new pair of shoes. Like, it doesn't matter. It's out with household things, so like food, cleaning supplies, all of that. And it's after they've calculated like their bills and stuff, and it's to allow them to save money and not overspend. And I was on TikTok. Damn you, Kirsty, you got me onto TikTok. My best friend also has the same name as me. I'm not just talking about myself in the third person. My friend Kirsty got me on TikTok, and I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I came across this person that is doing cash stuffing. I think I actually searched for like money saving, because I feel like money saving isn't really talked about. Like how, like tips to save money, and all that jazz. It's not talked about. It's almost like a taboo subject. And I decided to like search on TikTok or something, because they've got book talk, you've got knitting talk or craft talk, whatever it is. Surely somebody does money saving. And lo and behold, this cash stuffing comes up. And they use a Filofax, they've got these envelopes with like a wee sealer slider thing, and they've got different envelopes for different things. So petrol, car insurance, social, food shop. They have kids, they've got kid 1, kid 2, grandchildren. And they've got another one for like Christmas, holidays, that kind of thing. And she withdraws a set amount of money at the beginning of the month or whenever they get paid, and they allocate it into each envelope. And if you ask me, it's a lot. It is a lot. There's no more to that sentence. You need a Filofax. You need the envelopes. You need to remember to go to the ATM. That is my biggest downfall, is remembering to go to the ATM. But I have sat down, or will be sitting down, because these are my old, like, I've written down all my payments before, so I just need to review it, because there's one on there that definitely needs amended. So you look at all your outgoings, and then you kind of weigh that against your actual wage, or whatever you have as income. And then you'd be like, right, okay, my goal is to save this much, which would leave me with this much. Now divide that, I divide it by 5, because sometimes you have 5 weeks in the month. And then if you have a 4-week month, you have 1 week extra, which just goes straight into savings. So win-win. So you divide what's left by 5, and then that's how much you get per the week. So I need to sit down this weekend and just recheck my figures for my outgoings, and then work out how much I'm going to allocate per week. Get to an ATM, not today. I might send Scott. Or I might just wait till next week. Honestly, like, I have no intentions of going out the house today. I've got no intentions of going out during the working week. I've got a really hectic work week coming up. And then I'm cat sitting this weekend in Grianaig. So yeah, all of that to say, if you've got any saving tips, please let me know, because I genuinely feel like there's not enough out there. And it's not, I'm doing this because I have a spending problem. Like, I do. I am an emotional spender. And my emotional spending can be split into several options. So I'd say at least 50% of my emotional spending is food, because I'm an emotional eater. Hence, plus size and very jiggly. So at least 50% of my emotional spending is on food. Then I'd say the other 50 is definitely split up into certain categories. There's craft supplies, and then it used to be bags and shoes. I've got a lot better with the bags and shoes. But yeah, I'm at least 50% food and 50% on absolutely everything else. And I need to really rein that in. I can't be spending money to cheer myself up, because it doesn't last very long, because then I kick myself for spending the money. And it's a very vicious cycle. It's the same as overeating and emotional eating. It's a very, very vicious cycle. And Scott and I are really trying to be better with our spending, because together as a couple we are really bad with spending. That sounds horrible. But like, we both have a spending problem separately and as a couple. So we're both working on it. We're both doing this cash stuffing thing. And the reason we're doing it is because we obviously have the wedding. And spoiler alert, we didn't cancel the venue. We talked about it. We were all guns blazing to go ahead with the registry office. And then life just got in the way. And every time I remembered to phone to cancel the venue, it was too late in the evening. And I'd always be like, do it tomorrow. and then I'd forget. In the morning would catch up with me, and then I'd be stuck doing stuff for work. And again, it was just this cycle that I wasn't breaking. And then one day Scott kind of sat down and he's just like, I want the venue. And I was like, I do too. And we know, before anyone jumps into the comments, we know the venue doesn't make the wedding. We know that marriage is what counts. It's me and him at the top of the aisle, walkway, whatever you want to call it. And it's what we put into the marriage that what matters. But we fell in love as a couple. We fell in love with the venue. We could envisage our day there, everything. So it turns out that it was a blessing that I didn't cancel the venue. And we're going to try really, really hard to get the money together for everything that we want for the wedding. And our honeymoon. So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to rope in our emotional spending. And we're also doing it to save up for the wedding. So if anyone's got any tips, please drop them in the comments box below. If you're not comfortable leaving them in such a public place, please DM me on Instagram. It might go into my request folder, and I don't always check that. So if I don't get back to you like really quickly, don't worry, I will eventually see it. I check that folder maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks. But yeah, I am on somewhat of a spending ban. I will not be buying yarn anytime soon. I have 3 things coming that are yarn related. I have a skein of self-striping from Mrs. Lamb's Yarns, which is Calico Chic Ellen. I have three skeins of DK non-superwash, as solid black as possible, from Marcus of Fiberpunk. That is for a project. And I'm also paying up an advent calendar for this year from Amo Yarns. And that's it. The only way out of that sounds horrible. The only stipulation, that's not right either. I'm blaming the fact I've not finished my first tea of the day. The only exception, there we go. The only exception to my not buying yarn is if somebody requests something and I have to buy yarn. But at the end they would be paying me for whatever they have requested, and I would make sure that money covers the cost of the yarn. So really I'm not spending out money on that. It's just I always kind of take the hit at first and then get the money back after I've made it. Although I really should start taking money up front for some things. So yeah, I'm going to be following in the footsteps of Deborah of Diary of a Physicist Farm Girl, who is also Doc Firewoman on Instagram. And she is doing the Mindful Make-Along. And this is basically where you use yarn and patterns that you already own. Sorry, I'm just checking Deborah's Instagram for the correct hashtag. Mindful Make Along. Yep, I was right. And so I can't find the post, because I looked yesterday as well. I can't find the post where, maybe it was a story, where Deborah went into detail about this make-along and like our co-host and everything and what the Mindful Make-Along is about. But the gist of it, a recap of it, is that you are making stuff with stash you already have and patterns you already have, and you're not going out to buy things. So from the 1st of October it's everything you're making is with stuff you already have. And the only thing I would change about that is if it was a free pattern. I'm at the moment searching a lot through free patterns so that I'm not spending money, which is a kicker because I have some really beautiful patterns in my wish list at the moment, and I want to knit them so bad. But it is what it is. I need to stop. I need to curb the spending. I need to save for the wedding. We're giving ourselves a year and then we'll review where our finances are, and if we are not on track then we will cancel the venue and we will book the registry office, because the registry office only opens a year ahead of the date that you want. So maybe that's another reason I didn't do anything, is I wasn't willing to give up a venue to then have nothing in the hopes that we would get the date that we want at the registry office. So we're giving ourselves a year, and after a year we will review our finances, our spending, and if we are not on track to the amount that we have put, we have just picked a figure. We have rounded up all of our estimates. I would rather overestimate the cost of things than underestimate and really be in hot water. Excuse me. So yeah, if anyone's got any tips about saving money, drop them in the comments. Send me them on Instagram, because as a 33-year-old adult, I don't really know much. Like I say, I feel like it's not a talked about subject. Everyone acts like they're really good with money, and we're not. We are going through a really tough time here. Not just in the UK. We have a cost of living crisis and things are getting more expensive. Electricity's getting more expensive. Fuel's getting more expensive. Food is getting more expensive. Like, saving, it just feels impossible. But that's just me. That's what I feel. That's generally how I feel. It's almost becoming impossible to save money. And if we can get on top of this whole saving malarkey, and we can get the wedding that we really want, and we can have the honeymoon we're thinking about, then after all of that, we can save up for a house. Because as much as I love this flat, it breaks a little part of me every day that I don't have a pet. And that's a me thing. I need to deal with that. I've grown up with animals my entire life. Like, I think from the day I was born, my parents had cats, because they had their own cats, and then they were like foster parents for a ton of cats. So when I grew up, we had a lot of cats in our house, and then they would all disappear because they would get rehomed. But we always had our two. And now not having a cat can be really tough. Like, it can be really, really tough. But I make do. I'm cat sitting next weekend. I get those two monsters for the whole weekend. One of them hates me. It's funny. The other one kind of loves me. She's like, I want cuddles, but I don't want cuddles, but I want cuddles. So that's going to be really, really nice. But yeah, I've blathered on for so long. Like, that's half an hour of just talking. I feel like I've taken a leaf out of the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast. So I'm going to finish my cup of tea, make a fresh one, and then we're going to jump back in. And we're actually going to talk about crochet and knitting and fibre crafts in general. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me the last half an hour. If you didn't and you used the sections, the chapters, then that's cool. But yeah, I'll be right back. You'll not even notice, like, it'll just run into the next clip. But I will have a fresh cup of tea that won't be cold, and we will start with crochet, and then we'll go into knitting, and then I have one start of a cross stitch project. Barely anything, but I'm just so excited about the project. I also have a test knit to show off that I'm really excited about. So yeah. And we're back. I have a fresh cup of tea, but we're going to try and speed through a little bit of this because I feel like I have kept you all here very long enough and not shown any projects. So first off we have some crochet, and if you have watched my Perth Festival of Yarn video you will know what I'm about to show off as my finished object. This is the Twisted Witch hat by Crochet Verse, and I have knit this in King Cole Chunky Tweed. Oh, sorry. This was £3.69 a ball. I bought 3 balls, but this only used a ball and 2/3. And this is in shade 1092, which is Egg. And there is 138 meters per 100 grams. It's a 72% premium acrylic, 25% wool and 3% viscose. I love this hat so much. The brim does curl a little bit, which I am actually okay with, and as much as you can't see it, if I do that you can see it, there's 3 pipe cleaners in this. There's one in the tip and then there's 2 here in this section, and the pattern does talk about stuffing from here up so that it's just a little bit more sturdy, because mine does, like, sometimes it's just completely over, sometimes it stays up. A lot of the time I just wobble it. If you saw the video I just was walking around like when people were saying how nice it was, and I love the fact I've put pipe cleaners in it. It just allows me to curl just the tip of it however I want it. Every now and again I do change it, and I might put some toy stuffing and then a layer of felt and secure it just for this bit here. I don't mind it tipping over and falling. I just don't want the design to crush, like to cave in. I don't think it would cave in, to be fair, but I don't want it smooshed flat. I want it to stay nice and springy and round and upright. So yeah, this is the Twisted Witch hat by Crochet Verse, and I will link it down below. It's a pay for pattern on Ravelry. I'm not sure if they have the pattern elsewhere on the internet. You would need to do a Google for that one. And again, this was in King Cole Chunky. It was chunky, wasn't it? Yep, King Cole Chunky in the tweed. And if I do a little close up of the yarn, you'll see the tweedy effect of it. So you can see there, like, there's some green and orange and pink. There is also blue and violet. And it's just really nice. Like, it's throughout the whole yarn, and they're not exactly stingy with the tweedy bits. Like, it's everywhere. It's gorgeous. My voice is going. And I really love this yarn, and this hat in general just makes me extremely happy. I will wear this after Halloween. Like, I didn't make this for Halloween. I just wanted a witch's hat. Because for anyone that's not aware, I am pagan. So, yeah. I had yarn left over, and I thought I would have enough to make another hat. I was wrong. So, this was my second loss at Yarn Chicken when it comes to a hat. And I was a little bit devastated, not gonna lie, because it was the second Yarn Chicken fail. And this is what I have so far. Now, I could so easily go to the shop where I got the yarn from, and get another ball of yarn and just finish this. But I'm not 100% happy with it. This is a hat I've made off the back of a photo that I saw. So I got inspiration from a photo, and I have tried to make my own version of it. and I have not got the increases right at the very top of the head, and so it's a bit bumpy, it's not flat, and so I'm genuinely thinking about ripping it out and redoing the increases a bit better. Now the hat is great. So it's almost like a bowler hat, and then it's going to have this really big brim, maybe out to about here. And then I'm going to do a crochet chain to sit at the very base of the brim and the base of the hat, where the two join. I'm going to have a crochet chain in a very different colour. I'm thinking, since this is going to be like an autumnal hat, that I'm thinking like an orange or a burnt orange. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet or knit tiny little pumpkins and leaves. And I'm going to put like a brooch backing on it, or even just a safety pin, so that I can have it attached to the pumpkin and then attach it to the hat. And the reason I'm going to do it with some sort of like brooch fitting or a safety pin is so that I can wear this hat whenever, and I can just change and add different things to it. So when it gets to Christmas, I could maybe add like some Christmassy things to it. When it gets to Easter, I could maybe like add a little bunny, some Easter eggs. I'm not sure I'd be able to wear it in summer. It's a thick yarn, and it's a warm yarn. Like, I can already feel my head starting to heat up already. So maybe not summer, but definitely fall, winter and Easter, spring. I could maybe add little things to it and have it as like an all year round mix up accessories. So that's the plan. Not sure when I'll get all of that done. I have other things I am working on, and one which has a deadline, two have a deadline. One is more flexible than the other. But this is the plan. Like I say, I'm not happy with the top of the hat. Like, that's, some of it's not even touching. Like, I'm pinching this part of the fabric. It's almost like I've just done those wrong, and I've put too many increases up too quickly, but yet it fits perfect around my head. I also feel like I need to take this back a row or two and have it just a little higher. Like, at the moment it's sitting on my eyebrows and right at the base of my skull. So it sits great at the back, but it maybe is just too low on the front for what I'm going for. So because I'm making it up as I go along, there is a lot of back and forth, ripping out, trying again, ripping out, trying again, and that's absolutely fine. But I also really like this bit at the top. So I don't know if it's kind of going for like the acorn effect or whatnot, but I done, like, I could undo it, it's not stuck. But I done quite a long start to the hat so that I could tie it in a wee knot and have like this little feature at the top of the hat. So yeah. When I'm down in Grianaig next weekend, I'm going to nip into my old LYS, which is still really my LYS, because it's bigger than the one that's more local to me, and see if she has this yarn. If not, I'm off literally the week after. I'm cat sitting, so I'll knit back to my closer LYS and get another ball of this, and then I can get this finished. But yeah, I really love this. I'm in such a hat kick just now, which is great, because when you're growing out your hair, which I've been doing this whole time, I don't think I speak about it, having hats is really good, especially going into winter. So that's that one. My last crochet project is something a bit different, and I'm going to need my iPad for this. So I've been having a lot of problems with my hands recently, and it mostly is stemming to my thumb. My thumb is where the problem is, and I find that when sorry, I know I'm not looking at the camera. I find that when I do a lot of knitting and purling, it aggravates my thumb, and so I picked up my mosaic blanket, which is not a blanket because it's like yay long, my crochet mosaic thing, and I put 2 rows on this, like really not enough to show off, but I put 2 rows on this, and I was like, that's not hurting my thumb. But I don't want to work on any of my big blankets. Like, I didn't want to have to get those out and unfold them and be weighted down. I wasn't cold enough yet. I didn't want to do the mosaic. I wanted something fairly mindless, but I hate the pineapple motif. Sorry, but I do. I hate it. I didn't want to just do crochet chains, joint a crochet chain, and kind of like a lace effect. I wanted full on crochet that was just a little bit different. And so I went into my craft room, which is now officially my craft room and not an office, and I found this yarn kicking around. Now, I don't know where this yarn came from, and I now cannot find the little tag that I had. Right, this tag has got to be found. Right, it was here when I started recording. I don't know where it is. I am dropping everything. Where is it? That is actually going to frustrate me, because I deliberately looked out to thank the person. How can you lose a tag you literally just had? Sorry folks, can't find it. So yeah, somebody somewhere down the line was very kind enough to gift this to me, or in a swap parcel, and it's a 75% 25% yarn. I don't know who it is, I don't know if it's indie dyed, I don't know if it's commercial. All I know is it's 75% wool, 25% nylon, and approximately 420 meters. And I've had this in my stash for several years now, and I've just not known what to do with it. Like, it's a lovely colour, but I don't think I would knit socks in it, and I'm not entirely sure why. And I'm going through this phase at the moment where I'm not as precious about my yarn, and I'm like, do you know what, as long as it's getting used, that's the main thing. And so I was in this mood to make something, to crochet something, and I needed it to be a one skein thing. And so I put in my limitations. That's how I'm going to word that. I don't think it's the right choice of word, but we don't have all day for me to go through my vocabulary list. So I put on Ravelry my limitations. So I had a fingering weight yarn that I was going to put through is 350 to 420 meters. I'd rather underestimate quite a bit and still be able to make something. And I had in my hand a 3.75mm crochet hook, so I put that in as well. And I put in, I wanted something around the neck. A shawl maybe, a cowl perhaps. And I just started scrolling. Oh, and I also put that it had to be free, because I don't want to spend money right now. And I came up with this. So this is from Fibre and Fox, and it is the One Skein Wonder Cowl Light. And she has designed a DK weight version of it, hence why this one is now the light. And this really caught my fancy because of all of my previous noted annoyances. Like when I started crocheting, everything was pineapple stitch. Ugh. And I think that's traumatized me. And then if it wasn't pineapple like motif, it was just crochet chains joined into like a foundation stitch below another crochet chain and just linking chains upon chains upon chains. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. I just don't like them personally. And so first I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do like a granny stitch shawl. That really took my fancy. I was like, oh, that would be nice. Just a really, really big one, wrap up in it. But then when I went into the craft room, I saw this. This was the first yarn I saw, and I was like, I'm not doing granny stitch in a 4-ply. Nothing wrong with it. I'm doing it for my blanket. I would just rather for a shawl do it in DK or heavier. And so that's when I put through my limitations, again, not the right word, into Ravelry, and that pattern came up. So again, that was fiberandfox.com. You can get a paid for version of this pattern, but I am going through their blog, and I'm using the free version. So you can get it for free, and you can also get the pattern on her Etsy. And this is a gorgeous pattern. I am thoroughly enjoying this. So you start with foundation half double crochet. You could do a chain and then do a row of half double crochet. I'm talking US terminology, not UK terminology. So you do a foundation half double crochet for 132 stitches, which is a lot, and that I had to be quite careful with because I had to actually Google the foundation half double crochet. It's not something I could do off the top of my head. And then after that you've got something called an MBS stitch, which is a mini bean stitch, and it is delightful. So it's these rows here. This is the mini bean stitch, and honestly it is lovely. I am thoroughly enjoying this project. It will be a slow project. That's absolutely fine. Remember what I said at the start. I will not be racing to get this done. I am enjoying every single stitch that I am making on this. And it was what I was working on at the beginning of the podcast as well, in those little mini videos that I was putting out. Well, not mini videos, just mini clips at the start of the video. And so whoever sent me this, just a huge thank you. It was very kind of you to send it. I can't remember if it was just something out of the kindness of your heart or whether it was part of a swap, but this yarn I think really works well for this because it is a variegated yarn. There's blues and purples, but it's not, I think if I'd done it in a sock it would just make the sock look muddy, whereas I think it works really well in this pattern. But that could just be me. That really could just be me. So yeah, that is going to be a cowl. I am slowly making things I'm going to be gifting to people for the holiday season. I don't see me spending a lot of money on presents this year. The main present I have already bought, which is a jersey for Scott. He's really into his sports jerseys right now. And it's all for his teams. Like, I got him the Raiders one. I got him Las Vegas Knights. And this one is the Clan jersey, which is the Glasgow, I think it's the Glasgow Clan, but they play at Braehead, and that is ice hockey. I'm going to my first ice hockey game in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have to remember all my woolens. It's going to be cold. So yeah, that is a crochet project that is just bringing me so much joy right now. And that is the end of the crochet segment. And we've only got about just under 10 minutes left on this video clip. So I'm just going to stop the video and restart it, and we're just going to jump straight into my knitting. Okay, so into the knitting. I'm actually going to turn my iPad off. It's on that function where you can leave it on all the time, so if you don't physically turn the screen off, it won't. Oh, perfect temperature for tea. Balance that in the arm of the chair. If Scott walks in, he will not be happy. It gives me like anxiety when I balance my tea on stuff. So, I done another hat. You'll have seen my Lake Reed hat on my previous podcast episode, not the Perth video, but the previous video before that. And this is a pattern by, see, I'm getting better at remembering pattern designers. Did I not mention? No, I mentioned the name of the crochet ones, that's fine. Lake Reed, oh that's the Coral Reef, but it's the same designer. So the Lake Reed hat is by Asita Crepes, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is a gorgeous pattern. I have knit this twice now, and I was making this with a double strand sock blank, so it's a fingering weight yarn but it's knit up double. So it's a double strand sock blank by Gamer Crafting. I'm just going to unfold the brim so you can see the full yarn. And I frickin' love this hat. But I think I'm going to gift it. I think I'm going to give it as a Christmas gift. Because I have so many hats and I just think that somebody else would really love this. I hope. Isn't that what we all hope when we make stuff? My only thing is, now please, if anyone knows exactly what I've done wrong, tell me. I'm not going to be offended. I have very elongated stitches on my cables when I am cabling to the left. On my right ones, I'm fine. I'm golden. They are not elongated. But to my left, they're very elongated. And I was trying really hard not to pull the stitches. Because I think that's what's happening. I think they're pulling. And I try really hard not to do it further up the hat. But they're still elongated. So I hope you'll be able to see this. But like, see that stitch right there, just above my nail and that finger there. That's really elongated compared to all my other stitches. And the one above it, just here. So that's the row I physically cabled on. And I was using a cable needle. I can do a 1x1 cable without a cable needle. I cannot do a 2x2 without a cable needle. I've tried, can't do it. And every so often, maybe on the right hand side, I've got an elongated one, but nothing compared to my left hand. So, am I doing something wrong? That's the first question. Am I doing something wrong? Second question, is there anything I can do to fix it? Whether in this physically finished hat or just going forward in future. Please let me know, because it is a bit of a bummer. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, I think I'm going to gift this hat now that it is finished. But we almost had a tale of woe. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen me post about this hat and not since. And that was almost deliberate. No, it was deliberate, let's face it. I thought I was gonna lose at Yarn Chicken again. And I put a post out with a photo of what was left of the sock blank. and I was just like, do you think I'm going to win or lose at Yarn Chicken? Be honest. And so people came into the comments, and there was one oddly specific comment that I, to this day, still love. And that was from Naomi Knits, sorry. And they put, I think it's a win with three rows of blank left over. Everyone else was actually fairly positive as well. Like, I don't think anyone came back saying you're not going to win. And this is what's left of the sock blank. Like, the tail's not even that long. It's a very short tail. There is 5 rows left of this sock blank. Like, literally not enough to do anything with. But I might unravel it just to see if at the end the 2 sides are joined, so that it becomes just one row, like one strand of yarn, if that makes sense. And then I might have enough to put in one of my scrappy blankets. I think my Cozy Memories blanket. Oh, itchy nose. I'm gonna have to take an antihistamine. So yeah, I won at Yarn Chicken. I really didn't think I was going to make it. I was watching this sock blanket get smaller and smaller, and I was just like, my heart was in my mouth. It's like, I don't think I can lose at Yarn Chicken again. So I lost at Yarn Chicken on this hat. I lost at Yarn Chicken on the bowler hat. And I really thought I was going to lose at Yarn Chicken for the Lake Reed hat, but I didn't. And I'm really glad, because this sock blank is a couple of years old now. And Gamer Crafting are really well known for doing like a mystery yarn bag maybe twice a year. I think their last email said they try and do it twice a year, where they sell their like end of stock or their seconds or whatever. And so I really didn't think I would be able to get this yarn again. So at least I know now that I can get a hat out of a double strand sock blank from Gamer Crafting, and that is with a 4-inch brim, because you could do it as a slouchy hat or you could wear it with a double folded brim, and it's like very generous double folded brim as well. Like, this covers my ears, and I've got a big head, so that covers right down my, like, proper underneath my ears and everything. And somebody else with a smaller head might actually be too big. They might have to fold the brim up even more. But yeah, Lake Reed hat. Love it. Another hat. Okay, let's get rid of that. My other hat that I am slowly working on, because this is meeting knitting, is my hat with the Athos yarns in the Sally colorway. And I love this colorway. Like, I can't get enough of this. I started with a 3x2 rib, which I've also done for 4 inches, and I'm aiming to start decreasing within the next row or 2. And when that starts happening, it will no longer be meeting knitting, because I will mess up my decreases if I do it in a meeting. But I am loving this project. Like, just look at those colours, and it really is Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm not sure if you would class this as pulling or micro striping, but I don't care. I love it regardless. So yeah, I reckon I've got 25 to 30 grams of yarn left. Maybe less, I'm not 100% sure. I do need to get my scales out. And I think once I have done the decreases, I will have 10 to 15 grams left. Maybe. Again, I am completely plucking numbers out of thin air. But yeah, I really, really love this one. Now, on to my last knitting project. Now, I do still have cross stitch to show right at the end, but for now we're going to talk about my last knitting project. I put my name down for a test knit. Now, the last test knit I done, I wasn't a good test knitter. I'm not even going to lie, I wasn't a good test knitter. I got the project done, I never got the photos. And I was going through like a really tough time mentally when I done that test knit. But I saw this test knit, and I actually saw the garment in person at Perth. And the designer is one of the podcasters that was in the podcaster meetup. So this is Rebecca, which is the.creabea on Instagram, or the Creabea podcast. Do hope I'm saying that right. And Rebecca was wearing one of the two versions of her new pattern, and that is the Kerr Sweater. I am going to interchange sweater with garment and sweater with pullover, or what's the other one I use? I might also sometimes say cardigan. I know for a fact that's not right, but just stick with me. I do mean sweater, but yeah, I use different words interchangeably without really realising I'm doing it. So Rebecca put in a group chat, so we've got a group chat for the test knit, and she was giving us some of the details before the pattern came out so that we could swatch. So the gauge was 22 stitches to 4 inches or 10 centimetres, but she gave us 10 centimetres, but I'm just so used to working in inches for certain things. And somebody asked what her needle sizes were. What did she get gauge with? And she said that as a loose knitter, she got gauge on a 3.25 and a 3.75. And my brain, not being the best at understanding the technical side of it, thought, oh, okay, so she's a loose knitter, I'll need to go down to a 3. I repeat the question I've asked before. If somebody has a class on gauge and understanding it and is really going to take me through it piece by piece and slowly, and have maybe alter how they would teach to deal with my messed up brain, please let me know, because it would have been really good to understand that I was doing the wrong thing. So I started swatching on a 3. And I got 28 stitches. And then I went up to a 3.25 and I got 28 stitches. Then I moved up to a 3.5 and I got 26. 3.75, 25, 26, 4, 24 stitches, 4.5, 22 stitches! I got there in the end. And this took me a couple of evenings to do. I don't know why it took me so long to do a gauge swatch, but I think because every time I got it wrong, a little part of me was like, oh God, not again. So one evening I put in the group chat that I still hadn't got gauge on a 4, and that my 4mm needle was coming up with 24 stitches. And somebody jumped in as well and said that they got gauge on a 4.5 and that they would probably assume that I would get exactly the same. And right enough, I got gauge on a 4.5. So I got to start the test knit. So, first of all, I've not been sleeping great. And I've started the test knit absolutely fine. Like, I got through like maybe the first 2 sections. And then I decided to read through the pattern. And my brain, excuse me, this is where I really needed a good night's sleep, because I was reading through the pattern, just trying to understand the construction, because this is a dropped shoulder. And I have never done a drop shoulder before. At least I've never done one in this style. I don't know if the boxy counts as a drop shoulder or not. Like, I really don't know. And so this is a very, very interesting construction on this sweater, and I can't wait to just keep working through it. But I got to this point where I had finished, like, so you start at the back and at your neck, and then you increase out on the shoulders, and then you knit straight, and then you start your underarm increases. And I was reading how long you should work flat, like how long you could work straight for. And in my mind, in my very, very tired state, so again, this is all on me, I read that I was to knit for 13 inches and then start the underarm increases. And I was like, what? Like, no, that can't be right. And it wasn't. I was to knit for 13 centimetres. And then it all made sense the next morning when I reread the pattern, and I was like, that makes more sense. See, this is why I work in inches, and it's why I have to pay better attention to the pattern, because it had the centimetres first and then the inches, and I just didn't look far enough in the pattern to see the inches. Had I looked far enough, I'd have seen that I was to knit 5 inches and then start the underarm increases. So I've now done that. This is my, it's curling up a lot. So this is my progress so far. So this was my increases for the shoulder. This is it knitting flat for the going around the arm, and then don't know if you can see because the end's curling in, but then I've got the increases just here for the underarm. And can I just point out, like, look at the arm of my sofa, like, it blends into my sofa. I have the same colour of yarn as my sofa set. I only noticed that like 3 nights ago, and I've been working on this for a week. Almost a week. So talking of the yarn, I am knitting this in Woolly Knit in the British yarns. It comes in 500g cones, and I am doing this in the Summer Storm colourway. And again, I can't emphasise this enough, like, it's the exact same colour as my sofa. And so the Kerr sweater has colour work. Let me pull up a photo from Rebecca's Instagram. So there's 2 versions. The grey version is got a wider colour work section and the body is longer. The green version has a narrower colour work and is more cropped. I am knitting the narrower version in a crop, and I am doing size 7, which is a 51-inch bust, and it's designed to be worn with like 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. And for me that works out at 7 inches of positive ease, which I think is a good amount. I feel like sometimes if you're more plus size, the more ease, the bigger it makes you look, and sometimes that's not a good thing. Like, sometimes you don't want that. So I am thoroughly enjoying this pattern, and I do find the construction very interesting. I shouldn't read it when I'm tired because it confuses the crap out of me. But yeah, I will be working on this a bit more today. I work on it a little bit at a time, just because of my thumb problems. But Rebecca has a very generous time scale for this. We have 9 weeks to have this test knit by, and I think that's fantastic. Sometimes when designers are looking for test knitters, they'll give not a tight deadline, but but they give the same deadline for the bigger sizes than they do for the smaller sizes. And obviously the smaller sizes has less knitting, it's got less stitches. I'm not saying like the knitter's ability is less or more, I'm not going there, that's a whole different thing. But I really love the fact this has got 9 weeks, and I think that's why I put my name down to be a test knitter. And I genuinely think 9 weeks is achievable for this, because I just want to work on it. I just want to see what's next and how is this going to be put together and how is it going to work. And that really intrigues me. Sometimes when you do a project and it's like the same thing every time, like the increases in the garter marler, I'm getting bored of them. Like, I'm getting bored of those increases. Whereas this has my full attention. I'm not kidding. And I'm not just saying that because Rebecca may or may not watch this video. But like, this construction method is blowing my mind. Other people might think, well, what? No, that's normal. I've never done this before. This is a brand new construction method to me. So this is my main colour. And then this is going to be my colour work colour. So this is the Woolly Knit, and this is Holst Garn Super Soft in the magenta colourway. And this will be held double as well, because this one's being held double. And I just think these are going to go so well together. And I can't wait to see how this looks. So this is the Kerr Sweater by Rebecca, who is on Instagram, the.creabea. All her information will be down below, including a link to her podcast. So again, I didn't meet her, like, she was in the photo, but I didn't get the chance to speak to her at the podcaster meetup. So yeah. But I did see the sweater in sweater, I was right, I nearly said cardigan. I did see the sweater in person at the show, which was really interesting. Okay, on to my last project, because I really don't want this to go over like an hour and a half. I have started... Is that my door? Oh. I have started a cross stitch project. So I showed this off when I bought it and it arrived in the mail. This is the Witch's Hideout, and it is a cross stitch kit. I bought the kit, and it is from The World in Stitches, which you can find their website at theworldinstitches.co.uk, but they are on Etsy. That's where I bought this. And this is the project, this is the pattern. And I love this. It's on Black Ada, not loving, but there is, ooh, sugar. There is some really gorgeous colours in this, and there's actually a lot of colours. Did it tell me how many colours? So I'm doing it on 16 count black Ziegart Ada, 126 stitches by 126 stitches. It's going to be 20 by 20 centimetres or 7.9 by 7.9 inches. $32 colours in this pattern. Oh, there's a better photo. Like a slightly bigger one. And when I saw this on Etsy, I was just like, I have to have it. Like, I really, really want this. And I pulled out all my cross stitch the other night because I needed a cross stitch project. And for pretty much every pattern that I have at least one colour missing. And I was just like, right, do you know what? I can't be bothered worrying about trying to get the correct floss and all of that jazz. So I remembered that I had this kit because it was kind of tucked away. Like, I have my unit here and it was tucked away just there between my electric spinning wheel and the wall of the unit. It was tucked in just there. Golf finish, chilling in clubhouse with a Coke. So I'd kind of forgot because it was out the way and it was out of sight as well. That's the worst thing. When things are out of sight, you forget about them. So then I remembered that I had this kit and I started it. Now, I don't know if it's the black Ada. I don't know if there's something wrong with the Ada, because there is a lot where the squares are very clear. Every other square, however, and I really do mean every other square, has like your bunch of threads and then a tiny gap, a single thread, the square, a single thread, a tiny gap, more threads. And then the next one is a very clear square, but then it repeats itself. So every other square has those tiny little gaps at either side of it. And because of that, I feel like my stitches are very uneven. Now, I don't know if you can even see the fact there's two colours on that project. There's a very navy blue, and then there's like a mauvey purple. And I started with the navy blue because that was my centre colour. Like when I got to the centre, vertically and horizontally, it was my colour that was there. So I started with the navy blue. And then to kind of help me get the width that I was looking for, I put in the mauvey purple. And that's what I'm working with just now. I feel like my stitches are not even. Like, I have done better cross stitch for sure. But I am learning. I am taking a lot more care when it comes to those uneven boxes, to make sure that I am putting my thread, my needle, into the correct space. Like, I'm taking a lot more care. And I'm going to be heading to the SECC Hobbycraft event on the 13th of October. So that's the SECC in Glasgow. And I'm going to be specifically looking to check out and price crafting lamps. I have a light over here, like just up this way. You can see the band of it, but it doesn't move forward. It looks like it should, but it doesn't. And so I really need like a really good craft lamp, one that I can move the neck of so that I can bring the light closer or move the light further away, because the only light source in this room is 2 units on this back wall here. That's it. And then we've only got the light that comes through the window. And it's nice at night time, if you're not crafting, to have that kind of one-sided light source. Like, I don't know, it just sets a mood in this room that's mostly nice. But see, when you're working on Black Ada, it's a fucking bitch. I said it. Sorry Fiona if you thought you were safe and the kids were there. Sorry. But yeah. I'm kind of enjoying it. I was going to say I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of enjoying it. I think once I start introducing more colours, or get done with all the dark colours, because there's definitely going to be black on black, which, let's face it, is not going to be fun. So once I'm kind of done with the dark colours, I think I'll enjoy this a lot more. And when I get into the brighter colours, because there's definitely like a neon orange and then a very sunshine yellow, whole range of purples and stuff like that. So I feel like once I get onto those, it's just going to be better and more fun. Oh, good. Sorry, my friend lost her passports and now she's found them, so she's really happy. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me on this one. There was a lot of blathering at the start, at least a good 30 minutes, and I don't normally do that. I normally try and keep the blathering under control, but I did feel like I wanted to talk about those things between the whole trend where we seem to have to be churning things out like machines, and then about saving, because I think some people need to hear others talk about them before they're like, actually, do you know what? Yeah, I need to pay attention to that. So I'm going to scarper, I'm going to disappear, get this edited, hopefully uploaded today, which is Sunday. And I've got a big week ahead in work, and then I'm off for 2 whole weeks. I cannot wait, it's so well deserved. I might do a kind of vlogtober, so stay tuned for that. But I have 9 seconds left, so I'm going to say goodbye very, very quickly. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time everyone, stay safe.